The views and opinions expressed on all radio shows broadcast on KYOK are entirely those of the host, guests, and callers who are entirely responsible for all show content and do not in any way reflect the opinions of KYOK Radio, its sponsors, staff, or management.
Walk out on that field today. Ask yourself this question. What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Game time! What time is it? Let's go! We ready! We ready! We ready! We ready! I'm going to the house! I'm going to the house! When I step on the field, I send one message. This is what it feels like. This is what it feels like. Football is getting hit. That's it. It's gonna be football now. What time is it? Game time. What time is it?
Hey y'all, what's going on?
Game time. What time is it? Let's hunt now. Let's hunt now. Let's go. Let's hunt. We ready? I'm going to the house. I'm going to the house. We're talking about the Jets like we're talking about the Saints. You know, all this, I know we the Miami Heat of football.
Yep.
The bottom line is you got to buckle up the chin straps. It's embarrassing. Yep. Don't disrespect the game like that. So much crying from them.
He's a man.
It can be a hit just like us.
He's a man.
You already make the big money.
He's a man.
When you step on the field, man, that's who I do. When I step on the field, I send one message.
And this is what it feels like.
Oh, my bad. You had no work in my world. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it? Game time. What time is it?
Let's go. Let's go. By God, let's go.
We ready? I'm going to the house. I'm going to the house. It's a wrap. Game over.
Nope. Game just getting started right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. It is our winning Wednesday, and you know I got the W team. You know, there's an A team, there's a B team, and then you got the winning team, and that's Kelsey, Nicole Nelson. Listen in with K&N. She'll be joining us here in a little bit. Also, none other than David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint. He's just finishing up his show right now. We get an update on how that went right there. In fact, there's David as we speak. Let me see. I think this might be him calling. Hello, you live on the lunch break. Who this? It's me. All right, hold on, me. I was just talking about you. Hold on. We live on radio talking on the phone. Hold on a second. All right, so that's David, and we should have Kelsey in a minute. Let me get David on the video. Yep.
That's me.
There you go. Hold on. David Grubb. David Grubb, what's going on, doctor? What's happening?
You know, just finished up another show. It was a very good show today. It's just, you know, you're always trying to deal with folks and this whole Bubba Wallace thing, and people just, you know, we'll get into it, I'm sure.
Man, you already know. In fact, I said, you know, there's an A team, there's a B team, and then there's the W team. That's Kelsey, Nicole Nelson, listen in with K&N, and the dude that slam dunks on everybody, and that is none other than David Grubb. Kelsey, is that you, love? Is that you? All right, Kelsey, let me get you on the video. Let me take this off right here. Everybody's seeing y'all scrolling down there at the bottom. I want them to see y'all's names. There they go. All right, so first of all, let's do this, Kelsey, before we get into this. David, give us a recap of Hard in the Paint with David Grubb, please.
So today we covered, of course, Bubba Wallace and the controversy that still continues for some reason, and why people want to attack him for something that he did not create. So we dealt with that. Of course, locally we hit on the Saints, and then we spent a lot of time again on the NBA and college, and just this whole push to get people playing as these COVID cases continue to rise. And you look at, particularly in the places where they want to play, you look at Orlando, which is now the hottest spot in the country for coronavirus, and Florida in itself, which has gone now over 3,000 deaths. So, I mean, it's just, are we still putting money ahead of people's lives? And we asked that a lot today. And, I think it's an important question to continue to ask.
Yeah. We're hitting all that. We're hitting all that, and we're going to hit it hard. So I hope y'all brought well, let's see, small bats for singles and doubles, big bats for home runs and triples, right? I hope you got your big bats. Kelsey, give us the latest update on Listen In with KNN.
Sure. So I hope everyone's tuned in. Like David, it's going to be a very big week for the show. I was actually planning to do a show tonight, but after talking with Amari Stoudemire's team and wanting him to be his best in his game tomorrow in Israel, we're moving it to Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I know it's early, but join me and not catch the live stream after. And then Rob Parker will be joining me Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So very, very excited about that. Very big week for the show. I'm excited also. I'll put this in here. July 9th, we're doing a big WWE welcoming homecoming show. We're having Mayor Glenn Jacobs and we're having Kurt Angle. We're going to do a double dose, 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So people should tune in. So lots of big things coming. It's going to be a fun summer.
Kelsey, do me a favor.
Yes.
leave your phone somewhere near me and just go do. I just need to go through your phone list just for a little while. I mean, just for a little while. I just need to snap a couple of pictures from your phone list, and I'm gonna give it back. I'm not gonna take it. I'm not that dude, but I'm just saying. Did you hear her lineup, David? I'm just like, dude.
Like, I've been blessed. It's no joke. I've been blessed. Like my show this summer, I'm thankful. Like my birthday's in July, so I'm like, maybe all my gifts are coming early because they just keep coming through. And I have to thank my guests for working with me, joining the show, and continuing to just be awesome. And everyone for listening. So listening with Kanan, Fox Sports Radio. Everyone should definitely check it out. We'll be bringing you guys some good content.
Let me tell you something. You got two big brothers right here that are big fans, that believe in you, that want you to soar as high as you could possibly soar. And we're gonna be your street team. We're gonna get the word out and make sure that everybody's got their eyes and ears on what you're doing. Same thing with you, David. I mean, I love when you drop your your flyers, man, because I get it out, and there's not enough fire emojis in the deal for me to put out how hot your shows are, bro. I mean that.
They're good.
I mean, I just love the level of support that we all give each other, and I think, and the great thing is, in the few months that I've known Kelsey, and just how we've all kind of broadened our networks in that way, right. And whether or not we do something professionally together or we just support each other as colleagues, I think that has been a tremendous gift to me over the past year. Because I mean, I hit my 1 year mark for my show on August 5th, and in that time, I've been given the gift of the opportunity to put people like Kelsey on my show, to put people, Renee has been on my show. Sheena's been on my show. So to go out and give people who in one region are known but have not been heard by people in Louisiana and vice versa, that's what we're here to do. We're here to do our jobs, but also lift up the rest of us. And so, you're a cheerleader. I'm a cheerleader. Kelsey's been a cheerleader for me and for you. And look, it's not even it's a reflex at this point. When something pops up from one of the peoples, it's hit it, retweet it, send it on my stuff, because I'm not keeping it to myself. Why should I?
Right.
Anybody needs to know. And
and that's special.
It brings to these guests.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, because I would say I think the best thing about this is that none of us have met in person yet. I don't think people realize that sometimes. So this is social media connections and meeting through people and just supporting, seeing good work. And I think that's the power of social media. It's able to bring us all together, even though we're in all different places, have all different backgrounds, but yet, we still have a common purpose and cause to bring this message and this word and this storytelling to the people. So I really appreciate it. It's great to have big brothers in the industry. It's great to have that support. And I think, it's just, I can't wait to see all of our features. I think 2020, I know it's been a crazy year, but I think we just continue to deliver.
I'm telling you, and Kelsey, be careful now, because me and one of my homeboys rolled up on David's show over in New Orleans when the Texans and the Saints played. So you listen, you over there in the DMV, watch out now. Me and DG roll up over there, and you be like, wait, guys, you guys are here. Yep, we'll be there.
Please let me know. I will host you.
If you just say hootie hoo, we on the way. We on the way.
And now
I
you
love
can
it. I love it. Look,
ABJ,
if you're in the city, come.
right? That's why AJ, you joined.
Yes.
So, and the virtual convention, the registration opened up today. So I'm this afternoon. I'm sending in my registration.
Good plug, David. Yes,
it sucks that we
register.
can't be together in the same room this year,
Right.
but there's nothing like that those 3-4 days when you're at NABJ. It's the first time I went, it was the most validating weekend for me in this industry. Having been in news and in media since I was 22 years old, that was the first time that I really felt validated in a room where people understood what I was going through and genuinely cared about my success going forward, whether they had just met me or they had known me for years. And it was just no matter how big a star it is in Black media, and no matter where you are in the journey, you're not treated any differently.
Yeah. I'm excited. This will be my first. And I'm glad you let me know, because as soon as I get out of here, I'm hitting my registration and sending my money in. So I'm all about it. But I date you guys. I predate you guys a little bit. I was a member of the Jack the Rapper convention a long time ago when there was this guy by the name of Tom Joyner was trying to explain to everybody how he was going to fly from Chicago to Dallas and back to Chicago every day. And folks are like, you crazy, Doc. You don't even have to do all of that. And look at him now, So I'm excited. I have that same level of excitement joining NABJ as I did back then when I was a little high schooler trying to get in radio. So, man, I'm very, very excited. Very excited.
Yeah, it's a great org. I echo what David said. It helped me to just propel. I went to my first one in 2016, and ever since, I've been blessed. Like it's amazing to gain these brothers and sisters, and I've had the opportunity to speak on panels and speak to the next generation and give back. And it's truly a family feeling. I mean, Rob is coming on the show. I met Rob Parker through NABJ, and it just shows you the connections, right, that you can make. How they're lifelong. And I'll just talk to these people at convention. It's truly a family bond. We look forward to seeing each other. I was excited to welcome everyone here to my hometown of DC this year, but of course, COVID had other plans, but still being able to be a part of this convention this year, it's going to be something special. And I think, of course, it's virtual. Like David said, it's not going to be the same, but look, we're all learning. We're going to get through this together. And I still think it's going to be magical because the people is what makes the moment. So I'm excited. It's a good one. I'm glad you finally joined us, AJ. You were late to the party, but you still came to the party.
So long. I'm telling you, I'm normally not that late on things, but I was late on this. So. But what's crazy is you're my Sean McVay. I'm getting a T-shirt that says I'm friends with Kelsey Nicole Nelson, and I'm wearing it on my video. So anyway, all joking aside, we're going to get into this thing today. We've got to take a quick break. We're going to come back with the winning team, and I mean it. We got Kelsey Nicole Nelson, host of Listen In with K&N. We got David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, AM 1280 in New Orleans, Louisiana. And we're about to get first into Bubba Wallace. The results are in. The investigation is complete. We'll talk about that next, right here on the lunch break, on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged. Have you been diagnosed with cancer? Are you one of the millions who have taken Zantac or other generic versions of this popular drug to help treat stomach issues? Then pay close attention to this message. The FDA said it detected
Prince basketball shirt.
a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of this popular drug. They've banned sales and even removed it from the market. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. So please call now. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. That's 800-251-7816.
If you are trying to quit
Come
drinking
on.
or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-961-2730. 800-961-2730. That's 800-961-2730.
Having trouble getting focused? Getting your to-do list done.
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you.
KYOK 1140 and 92.3.
It's inspiring. It's empowering.
It's life-changing.
It's called to inspire with best-selling author and motivational speaker, Dr. Sylvia Cole. Tune in every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock here on the legendary KYOK, 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOK.org.
I'm Ben Tankett, and you are listening to The Lunch Break.
All right, y'all, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones. I can't sing, but I can sound like I can sing a little bit. Kelsey, can you sing?
I can't. My little sister can. My little sister actually sings. Well, she was before this, singing the national anthem at all the games throughout this area. So it skipped me and went to my sister. My mom and my sister could sing. Me and my dad, we just hum in church. You know, we were good hummers. We're good hummers. Good background.
You're your sister's hype person. You can come in and
exactly.
With the national anthem. David, can you sing? You look like you got some singing in you, David. What's up? Can you blow, bro?
I will say this. I can sing a little bit. I was tenor section leader at the Wake Forest University Gospel Choir.
Okay.
And my mother can sing. My grandmother could sing. My sister was in musical theater for a long time. So it runs in the family. I am best as a tone matcher. You know what I'm saying? Like solos are hard for me when I have to do like that part. But if you put me and I can my ear is good at matching tone and I can sing that way. Really, that's my best. But I do a little something. But if you get me in the car,
that means he can sing. Look, if somebody says it like that, they can sing.
That's like the person who says, "Can you play dominoes?" I do a little something. You play
I do a little something, right?
I do a little something. Can you play spades? I'm all right. Those are the ones to be careful for. The braggers, the one like, oh, nah. Yeah, right.
And then you'd be like,
Now, my wife and my daughters, they like it. My daughter loves that I make up songs for her all the time. So,
David, your daughter loves anything and everything you do, as she should, because she's got a great dad, man. She's got
dad. I love it.
Come on,
I love my baby. That's my baby.
The FBI got in and did a little bit of an investigation on the noose hanging in the garage stall of none other than Bubba Wallace, the NASCAR's lone full-time black driver. And they got in there and they decided that there was no hate crime committed against Bubba Wallace because it wasn't a noose, it was a pull string or rope to open and close the garage door. David, you go first. David, you go first. What say you, David? Isn't that great of the FBI to come in and solve the mystery?
Well, I don't think they solved the mystery because NASCAR said it's going to continue to investigate as to why that even existed there in the first place. Because NASCAR said it's a noose. The FBI said it's a noose. Like it's tied as a noose. And Bubba Wallace saw it after the fact. So I think there's two things that we have to remember in this. Number one, anybody who's pointing anger at Bubba Wallace about this, he didn't start the investigation. He didn't discover the news. He didn't, none of this was him starting it. This was all brought to him and said, you are potentially in danger, whatever, and we're going to have it investigated by the FBI. FBI conclusions, look, we've seen how many things have not been called hate crimes before. Things that clearly, look, we still live in a country that won't declare the KKK as a hate group. So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to do on that. But I don't think even if Bubba Wallace was not the target, and Bubba made this statement last night on CNN with Don Lemon.
Yeah,
his own people said, Bubba, no one ties a garage knot like this. This is effort. This is not normal. And we've all seen garage ropes. It's either a straight rope with a little knot at the bottom, or we're talking about if there is a loop, it is a very small loop that you pull with your hand. A noose takes time. A noose is not something. It's not a knot. It is something meant to slide. It is meant to open. All those things. You don't tie a noose on a on a garage handle. So I think it seems that people are more invested in trying to be, this is, Bubba Smollett. There's no real racism out there. But we're not talking about the Confederate flag in front of the building. We're not talking about people flying over. We're not talking about the noose that was found at the Sonoma track just the day before. So if these things are happening, yes, NASCAR has every right to be in a heightened state. Bubba Wallace has every right to be in a heightened state, to just wonder what's going to happen. And at the very least, NASCAR owes it to him and to the other drivers to find out why that's happening in their garage, because there's no reason for anybody to be doing that. And if somebody can give me a good reason as to why there's a noose tied to a garage door at all, then I'd be happy to hear it.
Kelsey, what say you?
Oh, man. All right, let me try to dive into this. David did it so eloquently. But look, I feel like growing up, we all heard the saying, if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, it probably is a duck. That's one of these situations. It's not rocket science that we're asking people to learn. I don't care if you were in Boy Scouts. I don't remember where I learned how to tie a knot. I also know enough about cars, and I probably have advanced knowledge about cars just as my background. But even if you don't, you know what a garage knot looks like. Come on. It bothers me. And then I believe in coincidences, but not that much. Come on, you guys. We have one African-American driver. You say the noose has been there way back when, but then why all of a sudden, is it just now being, we're just discovering this? No, look, I've worked for NASCAR. You check out these garages beforehand. You're doing your well-advanced prep work. Do not try to sell me on this PR ploy. And no offense to the FBI. And look, again, I have respect for the FBI. Luckily in high school, I was on an FBI Academy thing in Quantico here in Virginia. The problem is the FBI also has a history sometimes of not doing thorough investigations of hate crimes and race relations. This goes way back throughout history. So saying all this to say, I think David pointed out the point. I think this incident points to the problem in this country. It's become a you versus me. It was a noose. It was not a noose. And it really speaks to the tough race relations that we're having. I don't care what anybody says. If you know about the history of this country, a noose has always been used to threaten people like us, people that look like us. Right. You don't just show a noose to somebody like in good spirit and in good way. No, people were hung by this. People are still getting hung by nooses today in 2020. Today. So all of this to say, Bubba Wallace, I'm so happy that he's standing up for what he believes in. To compare him to the Jussie Smollett situation is just disrespectful. It's disrespectful because, as David said, he did not find it. It was reported. And think about it. He's the only black driver. More than likely, the person that reported this did not look like Bubba Wallace. And even they felt like this was a threat. And this wasn't, and we know what's going on in this country, right? So that's why I'm glad he's standing up for what he believes in. There's a big difference. There's a big difference between a noose and a garage rope. Google it. Again, it's not rocket science that we're trying to put here together. I'm not trying to make you believe my thoughts, but I'm just stating the facts and I'm going off of that. And again, come on. It was found in the one black driver's garage. Come on. Like it just doesn't add up. And I'm not asking you to do complicated math. This is just simple science. And the fact that you're trying to tell Bubba Wallace why he should not be offended by this as a black man in America. If you don't have that lived experience, do not tell somebody else how to feel. That's why I have a huge problem with this whole situation, because we're trying to tell Bubba Wallace, a man who's going through something that none of us can even experience, because we don't know what he goes through on an everyday basis. Right. We haven't grown up in the NASCAR family. We don't know what he faces every day. I don't even know what he's facing today. So do not try to tell him how he should feel about this situation. And I'm glad that the spotlight is on this. And I'm glad that media is not letting up on this situation and just saying, oh, well, the FBI said it's not a hate crime, story done. Let's flip the page. No, we need to keep attention on that because that's our job as media members.
Kelsey, again, Kelsey Nicole Nelson joining us, listening in with KNN on Fox Sports. Also, David Grubb, hard in the paint. on iHeartRadio Monday through Friday in New Orleans, Louisiana. Kelsey, let me ask you this question. One of the things that came out in the report from the FBI was that no one would have known that that particular garage was going to be the bay for Bubba Wallace. Is that accurate? I mean, somebody had to know. It's not like you just run around and say, oh, yeah, I'll take that one. I mean,
right.
What's fact and what's fiction?
Yeah, look, okay, like there's a lot of NASCAR races, right? So, of course, I mean, they're planning this in advance, but there was at least, I would say, well enough notice to know that this was going to be Bubba's garage. Because think about it, his team has to prepare and prep. It's no different than a visiting team going to a stadium and having to figure out whose locker is going to be which one. You have some sort of idea. You have some sense of it because you need to know what's happening and where stuff is going. People knew who are planning the race. It's obvious more than likely that this was an inside job if a person had to do it. So don't try to sell me on that. And I get it. Again, I get the PR team is doing what they need to do. So I get that. And they're going to say that. But no one can tell me the day of the race, oh, this is Bubba Wallace's garage and this is where he's going to be. And oh, just so happens out of all these garages, his is the one that just have the noose in it. Come on. Like it doesn't add up. And so again, I hear what they're saying, but you have to be real. And this is when us as journalists have to do our investigative digging because it just doesn't add up and it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. That being said, David, I kind of heard your part as well. Whether it was there in 2019 or now, somebody tied rope into the fashion and shape of a noose. So if there was another team in that garage before that saw it that way and didn't say a word, and then all of a sudden it hit them come investigation time, somebody along the way needs to be called on the carpet for not doing a checks and balances and looking at that and saying, oh, okay, no big deal. This is a clean garage. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, it tells you, again, that NASCAR culture, the corporate culture and the outside culture of NASCAR has to change. Because if you let that slide, let's say it was there a year ago, if you let that slide for an entire year, just a nuisance, just like you said, there's no reason for it to exist in a garage. There's no purpose for it there. So if it's been there for a year, like you said, Talladega is one of the most prominent racetracks in the country. So for no one to either have noticed it or have cared that it was there, it tells you that culturally there's an issue, either by the track management, by NASCAR officials, or anybody else who was there and who came across this certainly more than once. If that's what you want to, if the FBI said it's been there since 2019, then certainly somebody's seen it more than once. So explain to me then how your rationale it goes to, I see that noose. Okay, I'm just going to keep walking. How does that make sense to you? How does that doesn't fly? Like Kelsey says, some things just don't add up here because there are too many coincidences, too many things that just had to fall in place for this to happen to Bubba Wallace. And that the timing, again, the noose in Sonoma a day before. So certainly if we knew about that in Sonoma, but there weren't any black drivers out there, so that's why it probably didn't get the same amount of attention. But this happened and it's reported to, while there's a race about to happen the next day. Man, it cannot be. And like I said, with all the other things, with men actually being hung right now, for anybody to think that these are coincidental or to think that we want this kind of attention, that we have to manufacture hate crimes when we are seeing them perpetrated on a daily basis right now, nobody has time for that. But the thing that bothers me most are the people who took glee in the fact that, well, it didn't come out that way. You should be, I get that if you're Bubba Wallace, you say for a moment, well, I'm glad it was, maybe it isn't directly attached to me. It's about this cultural thing. But when you have people who are like, ha, see, well, that to me says that you still don't care about the issue. You're still carrying those same feelings. And we saw it out of Skinner, I forget his first name, but his son, who says that Bubba Wallace should have been dragged around the track by that noose, and then says it wasn't racial. This is what NASCAR is dealing with. They still have not dealt with those Confederate flags outside of the building. They still have not dealt with a son of a driver who has a job with a crew saying things like that. It's just if people feel comfortable enough writing and saying those things, that's not something that's unique to them that they bring in. That's the culture all around them. People are allowing you to think that way, allowing you to speak that way, and that's what really gets to me.
Kelsey, there's a writer in the sports world that says, her name's Ellen Duncan. She says, sad to ever have to say this, but Bubba remains a victim in this. He didn't find, report, or announce the news of the news. NASCAR did. And if you're delighting in this because it wasn't a hate crime, think about what that says about you. Relief is the proper response, not smugness. And there are all kinds of folks, including a professional golfer, who took exception with her telling him how to feel. And oh yeah, by the way, he felt like Bubba Wallace was the new Jesse Smollett.
It's crazy to me. Again, we're still talking about this. And again, it's a problem. This talks to the race relations. This is why we have protests going on in this country. This has long been a problem. This is not new. This is not something, all of a sudden in history, nooses are new to all of us. No, they've been around for a while to intimidate people like Bubba Wallace. And you have to remember what Bubba faced growing up. He's a biracial man in America. Again, he has a very different lived experience in a sport where there are not many that look like him. And he's trying to help grow that. And when you think about a sport like NASCAR, who has been for a while now trying to diversify the sport and finally feeling like they're making progress, to have something like this, I mean, it's going to make you question if I want to go to a NASCAR race, or if I want to bring my kid to a NASCAR race, because we still technically don't know who did it. And again, you cannot tell somebody how to feel. The writers, like you said, it's like, he cried wolf, blah, blah, blah. And I think about it. I think about the sexual assault stories I've done when the perpetrator has not been charged, and how those victims sometimes get victimized. Like, you messed up this athlete's career. And what are you talking about? This person was sexually assaulted. And I'm not comparing the two, but I say that to say, I've seen that happen to those type of victims, and it's hurtful and it's hard. And you wonder why sexual assault is so often underreported, why sexual harassment is underreported. And same thing with hate crimes, underreported. We have this fear and this terror. And I think this is why I applaud whoever was the one that reported it. And David brought it up earlier. I mean, we had Mike Skinner's son say he would drag Bubba Wallace around the track with the noose. That's a threat, because more than likely, if somebody was to do that, you are going to die. That's a threat on your life. And we're sitting here debating it. This is crazy, and it bothers me. And I think so. I've been on a couple of shows talking about this because I had an experience with NASCAR, having worked for them, and I had a wonderful experience with NASCAR. I've been on a NASCAR panel. I was a part of their diversity program. But saying all that to say, that doesn't make me defend what is wrong, and that does not make me not defend, what hasn't been there. And I think I have a unique experience having been. Not everybody's been to the pit crews. Not everybody knows what it's like to go to a NASCAR race even. So I share my lived experience to just call out what is wrong. I appreciate Bubba Wallace doing this because he has a newfound attention on him. He didn't have to do this. He wanted to do this. I think he needed to do this because he sees what's happening in this country, and he doesn't want to happen to the next driver. Because what Bubba Wallace is also doing, remember, is trying to bring up the next crop of NASCAR drivers, right? Trying to bring up the next young Black boys, the next young Latino boys, the next young Asian Americans even that want to race for NASCAR. And we don't want anybody to feel threatened or afraid. So do not ever tell anybody again how to feel about something that is detrimental or has been detrimental to their lived experience. No one knows what it's like to be Bubba Wallace in America other than Bubba Wallace.
Let me say this real quick. It's like the folks that are trying to convince me that Aunt Your Mama is a good heart American story, how she came up from slavery and became the face of pancakes and syrup, and we should be proud of that. And I'm thinking to myself, you ain't been black a day in your life, number one. Number two, you don't even know the story of Aunt Jemima. You just know what somebody's told you on your favorite news show or radio show, whatever it is you listen to. And now you're trying to convince me that's good for my history? Well, I can't say what I want to say, but let me read this real quick, David, because I can see you bubbling. Keith Hennig said, in IndyCar, pit and garage assignments are put together weeks in advance. This story does not smell right. That's my part. Even if somebody unknowingly said, yeah, Bubba Wallace is going to be over there, and that was all they did, somebody could have taken that information and done something that did not need to be done. Or, like I said, the fact that that was the garage. Of all the garages, the one with the funny-looking garage pull handle or pull rope, whatever you want to call it, why he would get that garage of all the garages out there, that's a whole big old happenstance right there. So go ahead, David. I know you had something you want to say.
Oh, no, I mean, the basic end all of it is NASCAR is going to be judged on how they continue to respond to all of these things going forward. If they, complete this investigation and they find that it wasn't a hate crime themselves, fine. We'll all accept that and move on. But what are you going to do in the future? What are you going to do to make sure that your pit areas, that your garage areas are secured? Are you going to make sure that you have cameras in place? Are you going to make sure that the access is limited for just those people? And then on top of that, should there be independent inspections by NASCAR of that area? Because if it's your crew, again, that's what leads to stuff where people can try to find room for interpretation. Oh, right. Well, it was his crew that found it, then it must not be. So if NASCAR is going to change policies and make sure that they are the ones who conduct thorough examinations of the area, of the garage area, and where drivers are, the locker rooms, all those things, because we've seen this before too throughout how many business experiences we talked about where black workers go in there in the locker room and things are on people's walls, things are on stuff like that, and just to leave intimidation. And that's what this is about. It's not overt racism. It's not like they punched Bubba Wallace or called him, but it's intimidation racism. They are sending a message that you are not welcome. And they're sending a message to us as consumers. You are not welcome. That's why we're keeping this flag. That flag has nothing to do with racing. Man. That flag has nothing to do with racing. Kelsey knows the history of NASCAR. Those were bootleggers trying to outrun the cops. So it had nothing to do with the Confederacy, it had nothing to do with that. It was races on the beaches, and then finally they got them on the tracks. So to try to tie those things together is something that NASCAR did a long time ago, and now they're paying the price for it, and they need to make this divorce happen as quickly as they can. And it needs to be not an amicable divorce. Let's just say that.
No, it needed to be straight up. You got to go, and you can't come back no more. I mean, as simple as that. Let me read a text message that came in. I said I was going to be nice today. So this person, I'll leave them nameless, says he isn't a victim. He is yet another one who jumps on people for actually wanting to get all the information before they make their mind up about something. Calling people simple-minded for questioning the story gets no sympathy from me.
But that's not what he did. But he didn't call people who questioned the story simple-minded. He called people who thought he did it and thought that he faked it as simple-minded. That's what he said. So, they're twisting what he said to make it, again, to make that point.
Yeah. I've shared this before, but even back then I didn't understand the gravity of it. So I went to David, a all boys school in New Orleans my junior year, and I was the only black football player on the team. I wasn't the first black, but I was the only black that year. And I got in town, Kelsey, on a Wednesday. I started in the game that Friday, so they know me from Adam. And the only why I chose the school is because it wasn't Jesuit. I didn't have to wear those little khaki military uniforms with those big black shoes. I just wanted to be like it was up in Cincinnati. When I played well, I got invited to the parties. One game I fumbled on the 2-yard line. Big guy ran it back 98 yards for a touchdown. I get back to my locker and I got a little shoestring noose hanging from my locker.
Wow.
And I'm upset. But I'm also upset that I fumbled on the 2-yard line and this big dude ran it 98 yards and I, fastest guy on the team, couldn't catch it. That dude was running for his life. I ain't mad at him. I messed up. He got it. He benefited. Shoestring noose hanging from my locker. And I was mad. I told my mom, I said, well, you got to get me in a different school. This one ain't going to work. Like, they don't do this up in Cincinnati. Yeah. And, looking back on it now, they were trying to intimidate me. They were trying to let me know I didn't belong. They were trying to let me know we don't want you. We don't like you. And if we could have our way with you, we would do, what we want to do. That was in the early 80s. It's 2020. And here we go again. and the man that they were trying to intimidate is the one that's wrong for saying something about the intimidation trick using a noose of all things? Miss me on that. Please miss me on that.
And this goes back to my point earlier, right? It's not a coincidence that you had the shoestring noose in your locker as the only one. And I think you can talk to any African American in this country, and I'm pretty sure everyone has at least one story where they felt intimidated by someone. I say this all the time, but there's never been a day, David and AJ, where I'm not reminded that I'm a Black woman in America. And it can be the smallest things, it can be the biggest things. And it's things that we always constantly face. And much like you guys, especially having spent some great time living down south. And not saying it only happens down south, but there have been instances when I've been shown that I was not welcome, that I was not supposed to be there. I've been many times the only Black person in the room. I've been many times the only Black woman in the room, and sometimes even the only woman. So I have all of these different experiences, and not all of them have been welcoming. Look, everybody's not going to come to you with open arms. And again, especially in this country, when it comes to racism, it comes to jobs and everything else. If somebody does not want you there because of the racism in this country, some people feel comfortable making sure that you know you're not welcome there.
Right.
And if we had time on the show, I can go through many examples. I'm not going to do that because I know we have a 2-hour show. But saying all that to say, that's a problem. What happened to Bubba Wallace is a problem. Thank you to the FBI for investigating.
Yeah.
I appreciate the work that they did. But at the same time, it still speaks to the bigger problem that we have in this country. And again, NASCAR is a sport that for a long time, and I was a part of it again, they've been trying to diversify. I was a part of it through their NASCAR diversity internship program.
Wait, Kelsey, hold that thought. Let me get this quick commercial. We're going to come right back with
Kelsey. I'll hold it.
And David Grubb right after this.
Injured or wrong. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer. And we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case. And they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you've been in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or hurt on the job, find out today for free what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. Call the legal helpline right now. 800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. That's 800-547-4170. This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field. 800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. That's 800-308-6729. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently, and now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property and your tenants aren't paying you? Quick Cash Offer can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents and risking your safety by showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your home to foreclosure. If you have any equity in your home, we will buy it and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call Quick Cash Offer now before the economy gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just don't want to get the cash you
Hey, look what somebody sent me.
800-780-1431.
Where's my camera? Can y'all see that?
800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. That's 800-780-1431.
Can y'all see that?
Hey, this is
Tori and Terry, and we'll run a new show on the legendary KYOK called Marriage Talks with Tori and Terry.
Yes, that's Saturdays at 1 p.m. Marriage Talk with us. You can call in and talk with us about your marriage questions, engagement, relationship questions. We're here to assist you. Saturdays at 1 p.m.
And that's on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and 92.3 FM.
Talk to you then.
It's inspiring. It's empowering.
Kelsey, look what somebody sent me.
It's called To Inspire with best-selling author and motivational speaker, Dr. Sylvia Cole. Tune in every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock here on the legendary KYOK. 1140 AM, FM, and KYOK.org.
This is Brian Courtney Wilson, and you're listening to The Lunch Break.
Oh, I want to be abducted by aliens. I'll go first. Look, let's go ahead and colonize Pluto. I'll go first. I'm just trying to figure out why.
We don't get no good hair care products, and you can't get no soul food.
I got no hair. There's no issues with that. I think. Look. I live in the city with the Houston Texans, so football will be better on Pluto. It'll be good. It'll be good.
Oh, man.
Kelsey Nicole Nelson, host of Listening with KNN on Fox Sports. Also, David Grubb of Hard in the Paint, iHeartRadio, AM 1280, Monday through Friday from 10 to 12. We're just talking about Bubba Wallace and a noose in his garage. And somebody was nice enough to send me this little picture that says, "Poor children of every color pick cotton. Open a book and gain some knowledge." Excuse my broken English. Was we talking about picking cotton? Did somebody put some cotton in Bubba Wallace's garage? Why are we talking about picking cotton? What in the cotton picking cotton does that have to do with what we were talking about? And yes, I said that on purpose. What?
All right, I guess I can take a first stab at it. Look,
it's just me.
This just goes back again to what I said earlier. It speaks to the problems that we have in this country. I believe that was sent to you just to remind us. I think it's people saying, hey, stop playing victim. How do you play victim after 400 years of slavery, after being given an unfair advantage, after still to this day fighting for rights, which is, again, why we see what is happening in this country. And it's a problem because it sends the message, well, hey, toughen up and don't say anything to African Americans if you're experiencing anything of discomfort like Bubba Wallace did. And what he did is right. And it's not the easiest thing, again, to do what Bubba Wallace did in a sport like he did. I also give credit to Brianna Daniels, who, of course, if you don't know her name, she's the first Black female tire changer in NASCAR history, for also speaking out about her own experiences and what she had to go through. Because if you don't believe NASCAR is diverse, the pit crews also are trying to change. They're more diverse than the drivers, but especially being a Black female in that space, you don't see many. When I was going to my NASCAR races, I stood out a lot. People knew where I was at all times. All right. It just is what it is. But I didn't mind that. Again, because I like a challenge. But saying all that, come on. People of all colors pick cotton. Come on. First of all, most of y'all probably haven't even touched cotton. Luckily, again, I have family from Mississippi. I actually know what it feels like. Obviously, I didn't pick, but I know what it is.
You're still doing it in Mississippi.
My great-grandparents were sharecroppers. Like, come on. That's just offensive. And that just, again, shows you are part of the problem. You are part of the problem. That's my nice way of saying it.
I have an uncle that, when you open up an aspirin bottle, he'll open the top part and he'll say, "Hey, pull that out of there for me, please." It's like, "What, You pull that out of there for me." It's, it's the cotton, and I'll pull it out and say, "Uncle, why you couldn't get that?" Because I just swore I would never pick cotton again another day in my life. And I'm just like, you know what? He's joking, but in 2020, this makes no sense. This makes no sense. This is almost someone trying to intimidate. And I'm sorry, I'm the wrong one. I am the wrong one. I got time today. I have time today.
Whoever said that didn't read that in a history book, first and foremost. It's the same people who tell you to read the history of Robert E. Lee or tell you to read the history of the Confederacy, and they know nothing of what they're talking about. But it's the whataboutism. And it's to diminish your experience. And like Kelsey's saying, we do. America does this to Black people whenever we have some kind of trauma. Oh, other people go through trauma. Other people were slaves. Other people had this, that, and the other. But they never talk about the way the American structure is defined by this. The entire economy of this country was built on that. The structure of our politics was built on that. So to just take that out of as a frame of reference is intentional. And that whataboutism is to assuage them of of having to deal with these issues and confront them personally because they know they have not. And then on top of that, it's the same thing that we do. You said when women talk about issues in the workplace, whether it's in the workplace or if it's just on the street harassment, when we do that, well, other people get stuff too. Or when women talk about abuse, well, men get abused by women too. Just because it happens to somebody else, again, it's just like the all lives matter stuff. We're talking about the critical need today. Let's talk. There's not a critical need for intervention in some of these other things. They may happen, yes, but we're talking about critical need for intervention here that we've been asking for all this time. So you go read a book. You go find out more about what actually has happened in this country, get the truth about what these things are, and understand it. Again, ain't nobody asking for nothing. Ain't nobody asking for nothing. We are in full demand mode of our rights and our equality. That's it.
That part.
Nothing extra. I don't want nothing extra. I just want to be treated as an American citizen in all that entails. That's all that I want. And so it just bothers me repeatedly because people are intentionally shifting this because this is not about tradition. You know, people like to say, well, tradition is important. These are not traditions. A lot of time we try to use the word tradition as something to impede the word progress. You know, we use a tradition as an excuse to say why we should not move past things. A lot of things were traditions. Handing over your daughter at 13 was a tradition. You know what I'm saying? For marriage. We don't do that anymore because we learn. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. That's what the evolution of your mind is. Things that we thought were okay are no longer okay. And you have to make that adjustment. It's not the world's fault that it's changing. It's your fault that you're not catching up.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. It'll kind of shift the conversation off the Bubba Wallaces for a second. Could it be that one of the reasons why all of the major sports are so heck bent on getting up and running and generating revenue for the economy is because of the makeup of the workforce? Kelsey?
That's an interesting question.
I saw a light bulb come on, and let me hear what you think.
That's an interesting question. And when I think about the big four sports leagues right now, I think it's been 105 days since any of them have played. I think you have to look at this fact. The bottom line is what the sports leagues care about, right? The money. Sports bring in a lot of money, whether that be in the college level, whether that be in the professional ranks, and even some high schools bring in great money from sports. The reason why I think we want sports back is one, I think, we're tired of not having them. You know, sports has always been that entertainment facet for many of us. Many of us go to sports games to relax, right? To unwind. Of course, some of us, it's our job. But your question when you say the makeup of the workforce is pretty interesting because I think you're alluding to a majority of the workforce being minority. Yeah, look, we're reading each other. Even look, from Texas to DC, we got this pipeline, we got this line, we're connected. And it's not the first time I've heard that. I've heard, it's kind of like the makeup of the workforce that for long in this country, minorities make up a lot of those. When you think about blue collar jobs, when you think about sports, especially when you think about the NBA and basketball, they're predominantly African American, right? And they for a long time been doing that and leading the pack. So I wouldn't say I would necessarily say that that's the reason why, but I think it is definitely a factor into the reason why we're kind of seeing this push and propellant to try to get them back to playing sports. But on the other end of that, that's why I'm happy that, again, athletes are finding their purpose and their power and speaking out and saying, hey, I understand you want me to play, but my life is valuable. My family's life is valuable. My health is valuable. And I'm not going to just go because someone told me to go because I'm a human being and I can choose what I want to do. So hopefully that answered your question, AJ.
No, I thought that was a very good answer. I'm just wondering how you would imply that I might be implying something other than what I implied. Love that. That's good. That's real good. Go ahead,
David. I think part of, money is number one. Number two to me is it's about the appearance. There is a very bad outcome, I think, by pushing sports to the front of this, because I think it does. If people think it's safe enough to play sports, then all the other things that we're seeing of people mingling at bars and going to the beach and doing all this stuff, it comes because if the biggest profile things are now declared safe, people think, well, then I can go out there too. And I think they are using athletes in this regard as guinea pigs to see if you can have this work. And they don't have a choice. So that's what you're saying, because these are contracted players and they have to answer the call or turn down their money. So you have a group of people who has very few options as far as what they can do. The second part of it is you do that, you give that impression, and imagine this. You're talking about games starting in July, and what's the first thing that you're going to have? You're going to have the President of the United States saying, see, America's just fine. Sports are being played. Testing is okay. We're all good. And he wants that I mean, again, it's not about me particular, but I've been in enough political campaigns, worked in some, run a few. So I know how this works. And he's looking for a PR boost to say, because he can't do economy right now because people are out of work. So, but you say, look, we're getting normalcy. And part of that normalcy is the appearance. Baseball is Americana. Football is the engine of is like the passion of America. And basketball, there's an order to it. Blacks running up and down the court, whites telling them what to do. There's that image of all three of those things are very important, and particularly in college sports. That's why I think they really want those, because that is the last true bastion of players with no power being told what to do by coaches and athletic directors. So that is of ultimate importance to them, even more so than the professional leagues.
I just wanted to ponder the thought. And it's interesting because, you got a lot of foreign-born players in baseball. And, a lot of them, they can't say no. I know they need that money. They can't say no. And whether it be for political reasons or for money reasons or what have you, in their minds, you got a lot of folks who might not be able to say no, and they can get this done. Y'all stay right there. Let me get Sybil Wilkes on with her latest COVID-19 update. We'll be right back.
Since the pandemic hit the United States, the number of confirmed cases has ballooned to over 2.3 million, making up the most cases of any country worldwide. Despite early predictions that the pandemic would slow as temperatures climb, predictions are now swinging in the opposite direction, as Miami's Jackson Health System has seen a 75% increase in coronavirus patients in the past 13 days. The city's Republican mayor, Francis Suarez, has mandated wearing masks inside and outside while in public. He also says the city will not host any rallies if asked by the White House. Citing risky behavior, infectious disease expert Dr. Anthony Fauci says he's not surprised by the rising number of coronavirus cases among young people in their 20s and 30s. Florida, along with at least 10 other states, saw their highest 7-day average of daily new coronavirus cases on June 21st. Please visit SybilWilkes.com to subscribe to my free daily newsletter. Be informed, be empowered.
Hey, what's up? This is your boy James Portion, and you are listening to The Lunch Break. Keep it locked.
During this current crisis, we all must lend a helping hand. Save a billionaire from going bankrupt. Don't allow their yachts to run out of gas. For just $1 a day and a modified sports contract, you can preserve their lavish lifestyles by calling 1-800-555-5555. Call 1-800-555-5555. Save a billionaire. Preserve their lavish lifestyles. All it takes is just $1 a day and a modified sports contract.
We got to do our part, y'all. We got to do our part. We got to save these billionaires. We got to get back out there on those fields. We got to get back out there in our positions, and we got to save billionaires. Them folks they ain't gonna be able to eat if y'all don't come on with the come on. They're not gonna be able to eat. We did food bags all around the country yesterday for Major League Baseball owners. I told them to go and get those brown paper bags in the grocery stores. You don't know what's in it. You just pay for it, and it's food for the hungry, and then drop it off by your nearest Major League Baseball stadium. Sign on there for the owner. Yeah, we got to do our part, Kelsey.
Billionaire.
You need to go. You need to go by the National Stadium, drop off that bag of food, and put it on there for the owners. David, you have to drive a little bit. We're gonna send you up to where's the nearest Major League Baseball stadium to you, Doc? We gotta do this, man. We gotta do our part, man.
Is my closest one. That's where I used to spend all my time when I was a kid over at Astrodome in the summers, watching Kevin Bass and Jose Cruz and all those guys, man. That was my childhood up there.
Yeah, hang on. Let me hit the top of the hour. We'll be right back.
On the road, the legend continues.
All right, y'all. We're back here on the lunch break. The views of this show are strictly of the host, the guests, and the callers, and do not in any way represent the views of our station, our managers, our owner, our program director, or our sponsors. So, Amber, I just stole your shine. So let me get back to it. Kelsey Nicole Nelson, host of Listen In with KNN. Also, David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, both joining me. And we're all going to do our part. We're going to drop some bags off to the billionaires out there. After we are done doing the baseball stadiums, I guess we need to hit the football stadiums because they're going to lose $5 billion this year if they don't have fans in the stand. And people going to be hungry, man. They got to feed their families. So we got to do our part. Save a billionaire. 1-800-555-5555.
Too funny. But look, I'm
committed to this.
This is why we love you, AJ. This is why we love you. You keep it real.
Billionaires' lives matter. Billionaires' lives matter.
And it's crazy, honestly. It's because it's crazy. Like, again, I feel like I've been preaching this. And I've been putting pictures up with the face mask. Like, the smallest things matter. I've heard people say, well, it's not comfortable to wear a face mask. I don't care if it's comfortable if you're helping to save a life. Like, it's simple things that matter. I'm not a medical scientist, but if this is what they're telling me makes it safer, then I'm going to follow those rules. Like, we have people fighting people because they don't want to put a face mask on. What? Like, this is 2020 for you. And again, we're asking if athletes should play a sport, a form of entertainment, even if it's not safe, and ask them to put their lives and their family lives at risk. Would you do that? Because some of the same people telling athletes to go play, you're the same one staying in your house getting delivery, wearing a face mask because you don't want to go anywhere, but yet you're telling them to risk their life. Yes, I'm calling people out. It just is what it is. Like, it's a problem. And yes, I understand this is a capitalistic society. I understand we all want money. But to me, you cannot put any price on any human life. NBA player, NFL player, Joe Schmo from down the street. I don't care. That's the problem.
No.
It's the problem.
These rich crybaby athletes, they make millions to play a kids game. And I'd switch with them in a heartbeat. Let them come work down here with me and they can see what real life is like. I'd be out there in a heartbeat if I had half a chance. They can give me 1% of what they give these billionaire crybabies. David, Avery Bradley has said he ain't going to play. Avery said my 6-year-old son has respiratory issues. I ain't going down to no bubble. Is he gonna get some backlash? Is he gonna get called the spoiled, rotten?
From people, yeah. From players, no. Because look, the situation is that 6-year-old is the oldest of his 3 kids. So you're gonna leave your wife. Now I don't know how many husbands can do this, but tell their wife, I'm leaving you with 3 children under the age of 6, one of whom has a health condition, and I'm going to be gone for 3 months in a place that I could contract a virus that can kill our child or me or you, and I'm going to put myself in that jeopardy. I wouldn't make that decision. Not with 3 children under the age of 6. Just think about the mental anguish. First, it's mentally going to be taxing on players just to any separation from people for 3 months. That's hard for all of us. Then you take the second element is it's one thing to be quarantined at home because you have the comfort of your home at the very least. It's my bed, it's my apartment, it's my house, whatever. You have some level of at least I'm secure in my place. I know how clean this is. I know who's coming in. I know who's coming out. 3 months in a hotel, as much as people want to act like that's fun, it ain't fun. Everybody has an end to a vacation. You know what I mean? When it's gotten on too long, you're ready to go back to the world. 3 months in Disney World is not going to be that fun to these people. And then you add all these other things on it. And yeah, all these fans who say that, Make it through one NBA practice. Make it through one NFL practice. And do the work that it requires from the age of 10 or 11 years old, every day out in the sun or in the gym till your hands are bleeding sometimes. I've talked to guys, look, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf and I have had multiple conversations. That man literally shot the basketball for 7 to 8 hours a day until his hands were just marked up because just keep shooting. To do that, the amount of discipline for people to just say, well, you're getting paid this amount of money and now you're complaining. They don't say that for actors, and their job is memorizing lines. They're not taking hits. They're not taking years off of their life. And you're talking again about athletes whose career is most likely less than 5 years for the most part. On average, it's 3. And then you're most likely to be under 5 years. So you have a very short window to earn the money that's probably going to have to carry you as you transition to the rest of your life. And you're going to be dealing with the medical costs, all those things. You have to look out for you because you are being viewed as a piece of the machine. At your job, we're all dispensable. We're all dispensable. Those athletes know that they're dispensable. So in that moment that you are not, get yours and take care of yourself.
Kelsey, I'll let you answer this first. Any other NBA players or even WNBA players that you think may choose to opt out that we hadn't already heard about? I know Melo is supposedly on the bubble. Dwight Howard, we don't know exactly where he's going to be. We heard rumors on one way or the other. Anybody that you think might make that decision today being the deadline?
I think there's a lot of players asking that very question because it's a big question to ask. Because again, we're asking them to do something. Of course, yes, it's their job. It's kind of like if your job allows you to say, hey, you can telework, but you do have the option to come in. I know for me in DC, that would mean me taking the Metro train into the city. Do I want to be on a Metro train stuck on the train with somebody who may or may not have COVID? That's a big question. That's a big question. I don't have, thank gosh, any serious health problems. But at the same time, I could be asymptomatic. I'm around my family. I'm going to see my parents later, right? My parents are older. So would I want to put myself in that position? And you talked about it, but I think, you have to think about in the WNBA, and I don't think they're getting enough attention, but you have to think about somebody like Jonquel Jones for the Connecticut Suns and her decision. And I think, and especially the WNBA, they do not get enough attention, but they've been doing this for so long. They've been trying to call attention to racial injustices. Here in DC, we're talking about Natasha Cloud, who recently led a protest march here in DC with Wizards players and Mystics players together hand in hand, a nice sized crowd to call attention to it. And she decided to sit out, not because of COVID, but to bring attention to the racial injustices in this country, something that Maya Moore had already committed to. But say all this to say, yes, I think we are going to see more people making this decision if you have a family, right? I think if you have a family, it's a little bit different for you. If it's you by yourself, you probably want to go. And then also, like David said, you have to think about the longevity of these athletes, right? We think about the superstars, the LeBron Jameses of the world, and these guys who play a long time. The core of the NBA probably are, if you're not a basketball fan, you might not even know them, but they're not going to be playing as long. And then a sport like football, even worse, right? Because we know how short the span is. So I think we are going to have more people asking these questions. And I think it is going to be a personal decision because COVID is real. Like I had a relative unfortunately passed away earlier this week because of COVID. She was older. Unfortunately, her family went to the beach and came back, and unfortunately she got it. It's tough. It's tough. And I'm not the only one. I don't say that for sorrow. I say that because too many of us have had to experience that. And I would not want anybody to have to experience that pain or grief or loss. And so I think many athletes are going to do this because at the end of the day, I don't care if you're an NBA player. You're still a human being. You're still a person. You probably have somebody to come back home to. Do you want to put them at risk? That's the biggest question. So I do think we will see some more decisions being made before the deadline.
David, anybody comes to mind for you?
I think there will be more as we get closer because remember, today is not the hard deadline. The hard deadline is July 1st when they have to report.
Right.
So, you still have about a week to think about this. And I think people will make some hard decisions and it's going to impact. Now, the thing that because you're already seeing guys who are lining up trying to get jobs and get back in too, because it's an opportunity for them to make money. And I understand that too. It's a personal decision. You have to do what you got to do. But I think that there will be more. I think that there will be players who are of significance. Avery Bradley is a starter. So that's already one significant player for a team that's contending for the championship, one of the 3 or 4 favorites to win the championship. So that's impactful. And that is just, I think that leads to, again, to the questions of credibility about all these things anyway, because not just the physical presence, what are people's mental conditions going to be as they get there? What are their, how do you get through this emotionally? How much focus can you really have on a championship when the world is going around, outside of that bubble? And how do you ignore that? The thing that we admire most about athletes in these moments is their incredible ability to focus on the task at hand. But this task is different. It's not just a game. It is all that goes along with it. And ultimately, my thing is, whether it's the NBA or whatever, is one loss of life worth it? If across the board, all the sports, if we lose one person because of COVID, was that worth it? Was that worth it? Was having the game worth it? And I just don't think it is, because $5 billion, $20 billion, go tell that kid's mother or father, their brother, their sister, whomever, their spouse, whatever they are, and tell them, was it worth it to you? And nobody's going to say it is. There's no one who's going to say it is. And I fear most for high school and collegiate athletes, because they are starting to assert themselves more, but they really still don't have a true advocate for them to protect them. And with these waivers that they're being asked to sign, and people are basically forcing children to turn over their rights without a lawyer present to look at these things and make sure that it's in their benefit to do so, man, people are gonna die. Unless something changes, there's no doubt in my mind that we're gonna see some tragedies.
That part it's almost like I want to refuse to not believe that. Like, I want to refuse not to believe that it's going to take somebody to die before someone like a Roger Goodell or an Adam Silver or Rob Manfred or Bettman and hockey, for them to say, you know what, this was a bad idea. Even the number one tennis player in the world, who put a tournament together himself and thought everything was fine, and we're playing soccer, and we're having pool parties and all this other stuff. He and his wife come down with it, and his whole story has changed. His whole demeanor has changed. Why not let that be the line for the change, as opposed to, oh yeah, we pushed through it and somebody died.
Yeah.
Now we realize we were wrong.
It's so sad, but I think that's the history, unfortunately, of this country. There was the golfer's name skips my mind, but he pulled out recently because his caddy had got COVID-19. So he obviously saw, well, wait, that puts me at risk. I don't want to put others at risk. That's kind of the mindset I think that we're wanting to see. But unfortunately, it's kind of like, George Floyd. His murder was a catalyst for what we're seeing. But why did it have to take that? Why did it have to take it being recorded for all this action to happen? And unfortunately, it's just sad, but that's how change happens. Think about it, because athletes are some people that we think sometimes are invincible, right? They're these goddesses, these gods that some people view them as. They're these celebrities, right? Most people don't get to be in their presence. We put them on this high pedestal, but then when they're taken from us, it's when it gets real. Because for most people, COVID got real when the NBA said, hey, we're indefinitely suspended. Then people are like, oh my gosh, COVID is really here in America. It's really impacting, because it impacts my way of life. And we shouldn't think like that. Because again, like David said, one life, no, I don't care who you are, one life, one death from COVID, and we've had way too many now. One death was too many, but why would it take the death of somebody, quote unquote, prominent for us to begin thinking and change our minds? But that's what we're going towards. We keep hearing all of these cases, Clemson players, Texas players, and yet we're still like, oh, well, we still got to go. Talking about replacement players and things. These are human lives at risk.
One of Denver's best players,
for entertainment. That's the thing. It's one thing for the people who are out there, the doctors and the EMTs and the people at the grocery stores and the post office who we need. And again, thank you to them.
Real heroes.
Putting themselves at risk for a lot less money. Those are essential jobs.
Right.
The NBA, the NFL, as much as, again, this is our career too. This is what drives what I do.
Yep.
It's the reason I got into the business was because I wanted to cover sports in particular. But to me, I would feel bad as just a part of the industry. I would hold some guilt for myself if I didn't keep saying, I don't think this is right, because I don't want to be one of those people after the fact. And first of all, I don't want a tragedy to happen. No one does. But I don't also want to be one of the people after the fact that says, I didn't think about it. I'm thinking about it now, and I hope a lot of people are, because we need to be far more vigilant than we've been with this. That's why the rest of the world right now is saying we don't want anybody from the United States at all.
Right. We can't even travel.
You can't come here. You people are killing everybody. So, I mean, I'm so worried, because think about it at this: Houston, DC, New Orleans, all these cities that are very black. How much do their high schools have? How much money do their high schools have? Do they even have a school nurse at a lot of these places? You know what I'm saying? A lot of these inner city schools don't have a school nurse, let alone somebody who's going to be there to protect these kids on a day-to-day basis. Who's going to be on the field to ensure that there's social distancing? Who's going to be out there to make sure that there's regular testing? Where are those tests going to come from? In public school systems that don't have money already? Where are you going to make sure that you got people who can clean up these locker rooms and make them hospital clean?
Yeah.
Hold that thought. Let me come back to that, because that is a whole nother level of significance. Got David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, Kelsey Nicole Nelson, host of Listen In with K&N, and they are really going deep, as always, right here on the lunch break for Winning Wednesday. Got a quick break. We'll be right back with more right after this.
Attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who've helped people that have been injured or wronged. Have you been diagnosed with cancer? Are you one of the millions who have taken Zantac or other generic versions of this popular drug to help treat stomach issues? Then pay close attention to this message. The FDA said it detected low levels of a probable cancer-causing chemical known as NDMA in Zantac and other generic forms of this popular drug. They banned sales and even removed it from the market. If you've been diagnosed with cancer and you've taken Zantac or a generic equivalent, call the legal helpline now. You could receive a free cash award and have your medical expenses covered. And there's no upfront cost to you. They only get paid if you win. So please call now. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. 800-251-7816. That's 800-251-7816.
If you are trying to quit drinking or doing too many drugs, listen to me. You don't know me and we'll never meet. I had a problem like you once. I drank and used to party a little too much till it got out of control and almost ruined my life. I realized I needed help to fix my problem before it totally destroyed me. If you've tried to fix your drinking and drug problem and you know you can't do it alone, you need to call the National Treatment Advisors. They'll immerse you into a 30-day program to replace your old habits with new habits and totally change your life. And if you have PPO private health insurance, the entire program may be covered. Fix your problem right now before it gets any worse. Get clean. Call now and learn more. 800-961-2730. 800-961-2730. That's 800-961-2730.
Hey, sports fans, this is AJ Jones, and I know we're all going through some trying times right now. Schools are closed, and things are far from normal. I was thinking, how can we help here on KYOK and on the lunch break? And I heard these words: help make memories. So how about this? How about your child, age 12 and up, has a chance to be my co-host for the day? That's right, 30 minutes every Tuesday right here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK. Your child can invite their friends, their family, and even their classmates to hear them talk sports with me, AJ Jones, on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK, AM 1140 and 92.3 FM. Send me an email message at aj@kyoksports.com. That's aj@kyoksports.com with your child's name.
Hey, Jimmy Lytle.
And why they should be the one
What's up, man?
to be my co-host for the day. Again, we're going to make memories during this tough times right here on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM.
Hey, what's going on? This is Lecrae, and right now you're listening to the lunch break.
All right, y'all, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'll have another one of those good old virtual co-hosts with me tomorrow, so y'all be sure to tune in. This young man is pretty awesome, and looking forward to hanging out with him tomorrow, and may have another virtual co-host on Friday. But they've been doing an amazing job, man. Y'all, there's some young people around this country that are amazing. I've had them from 12 years old all the way up to, I think the oldest was 25, and had never been in radio or on radio before. And literally, I could have took my headset off and gone home. They could have carried the show. So I'm looking forward to having the next virtual co-host on with us right here on the lunch break. I got the winning team, not the A team or the B team. I got the winning team right now. Kelsey Nicole Nelson, host of Listen In with KNN, and she'll be telling you when you can check that out. Also, David Grubb, host of Hard in the Paint, AM 1280, New Orleans, Louisiana. And David, you did it again, man. You did it again. What did you do? Here's the thing. Pros got that. College, I'm upset, especially if it's a state college or university. Okay, if it's somebody's state, I got different feelings about that than a private institution. But high school, and like you said, it's a case where they might not even have enough funds to have a full-time nurse or medical professional to, see about these kids. And I'm not talking about the trainer. I'm talking about if that's the case and you've got those kids out on that field and one of them gets sick. I'm not even talking about, severe and they got to go to the ICU. But if one of those gets sick and you were the coach or the assistant coach or the principal or the athletic director, how are you not responsible legally, civilly, humanity? How are you not responsible?
That's why they're making them sign these waivers.
They're trying to. I don't want
to hear about it either, but
I signed it. But isn't that negligence? Isn't that negligence?
Not if they get you to sign the waiver. And that's the whole thing, is they're trying to challenge it now. I've had a couple of attorneys on the show over the last 2 weeks to talk about these waivers. And there's going to be challenges to them. And I think that they have to. But again, when you deal with high school kids, what do? You take advantage of their parents' ignorance. And I'm not saying using ignorance as a negative. I'm saying just their ignorance of what they are doing.
Right.
Because
we don't know legalese as parents. I get
right.
It. I understand.
What you're saying. You take advantage of that. You got poor communities, black and white, across these states, and you've got these poor communities, and you go to tell them, hey, you got to sign this if you want to play. That's all they're going to say to them. You got to sign this if you want to play. And kids will say, okay, I'll sign it. And their parents will say, well, you going to play? I want you to play because we're thinking about you getting a scholarship or whatever. You're a senior or a junior. We need you to try to get out there and impress this year. You better sign that waiver. But not knowing that if your child does get sick, you can't sue the district. You can't sue the state for those things. You cannot allow that, because think about it. These are people who by and large lack insurance or quality health care. So take a kid, even if they have to be hospitalized for 2 weeks, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars that family is going to incur in costs, just even if their kid is going to recover. So, I mean, it's a burden that you are putting on families, and you are pushing pressure on them, again, for entertainment value, and you're going to put their lives on the line, and not only do that, but take away their ability to respond if they do get ill. I mean, to me, that goes beyond capitalism. That's into sinister.
I'm just sitting here, man, and I'm getting madder and madder, and I mean, I'm just getting more mad and mad because that little insurance thing that they have you sign at the beginning of the year, that stuff it's not even secondary. It's like no dairy. It's just like dairy free. It don't kick in. They don't ever let it kick in. Whatever rule they can find to make sure it doesn't kick in, it doesn't kick in. That's an extra level of negligence. I should get more money because of that little thing they made me sign, in addition to the old nasty little waiver. Kelsey?
I mean, there's so much you can dive in here, and it's hurtful because we're putting our babies, our children at risk. And like David's saying, some of these parents feel like their hands are tied because at one end, especially if it's the first in the family to go to college, or if it's, that kid that you want to get out, that you want to do better, and your kid is begging you, Mom, Dad, I need this opportunity, this chance. The colleges need to see me. I'm trying to get to that next level. Mom and Dad, I know you can't afford to send me to college to better my future. I don't know if I want to take out student loans. And we're putting them at this home where do you put your career first or do you put your health first? And like David's saying, also, you have these parents where, the healthcare system in itself, we're still trying to get together here in America. I have a lot of friends that work in different hospital systems here in the DMV area, and they'll tell you just what they're seeing. It's crazy. It's crazy. And the fact that we're putting the pressure on them, again, to like David said earlier, play entertainment value, to bring us entertainment value. As much as I love football, as much as I love so many sports, it's not needed. I love it. I love my job, but it's not needed. Why don't we put all of this effort into our healthcare professionals, into our medical doctors, and see how we can help and push them to hopefully find a cure, or at least contain it so it is safe one day. But instead, we're putting it on these kids and these parents who, and let's be honest, many times when you have to sign a waiver, you guys aren't reading that fine print. You're not reading the fine print. You're just saying, okay, let me sign this, get it out my face. All right, I'm just going to trust the schools. But when you trust the schools, they have their own interests at heart. Everyone has their best interests at heart. Let's remember that. Do not ever forget that, right? The schools, they're going to protect their interests in themselves. They have their own lawyers ready to go, should anything happen. And then maybe you have a lawyer ready to go. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't fully understand the context. And that's what's so hurtful about the world we live in now, because we put everything else before people. We're forgetting we are people, that we should be caring about each other, right? Because we're just human beings trying to live this life, trying to do this thing right. And this is what's so crazy about COVID-19. I think COVID-19 really exposed a lot of the inequities that are in this country. It really has. If you didn't know about them, you should know about them now. They're clear as day. And that's what this has done.
Yeah, no, I'm real happy about that part of COVID-19 and the social and racial injustices that are being protested, because a lot of stuff is coming to light. Like, I didn't know that's how you thought. And I do. I smile like, hey, how you doing? How's your family? Y'all good? Oh yeah, by the way, this whole racist comment that you just posted, I just want to let you know. Thank you. I just needed to know. That's all. Yeah. Take care. Good to reconnect with you. That's how I do them. David's like, what? You're a better man than me. I'm just, brother. It's good information.
I mean, when you get people in your thing who say they're your friend and they say the blacks. Come on, man. The blacks. What is wrong with the blacks?
David,
what did the blacks do?
David, leave them alone. They're in a whole nother world, bro. They're not walking on these same roller streets like us, man.
Just pray for them. Pray for them.
I thought it was interesting. I'm like, oh, okay. And notice I did not use the same terminology. I changed it to what it should be, and then we went from there. So,
I mean, I'm black, but I'm not the black. And I missed all the meetings. I missed a lot of our meetings. If we decided some stuff, I missed them. Somebody got to get. Kelsey must have all the numbers, because there ain't nobody called me for the black folk meeting. I missed it.
Kelsey, you got to let us know what the blacks meeting is.
Man.
Okay?
I got y'all.
The black folk meeting? Is that it? I don't know. I mean, somebody got to help me out, because I missed it.
I got people worried about what's going to happen with used black people. So, gosh. Okay. All right. So let's move from there, and then let's go to let's talk a little sports. Can we talk a little sports? J.R. Smith is probably like, listen, man, I'll go down and play in a bubble. I'll go down and play in a box. I'll go down and play outside, inside. Y'all paying? I'm playing. That's J.R. Smith. DeMarcus Cousins is like king of the hill right now. I mean, everybody who's anybody, including them bodies, want DeMarcus Cousins right now. Good move for him to play. Bad move. Could this mess him up more long-term than it can help him right now? Kelsey, you go first.
Look, DeMarcus Cousins is trying to bring his value back. Look, we know what the NBA, look, there's always new stars coming out. I mean, David's in New Orleans. You guys have Zion Williamson, right? And then we think about the next college crop coming out as we prepare for the NBA draft later this year. So I think DeMarcus Cousins, I'm like, this is somebody that we all love. We all love Boogie. Look, we wanted him in DC. We were trying to push for him in DC. Like, come back with Wall. We need you. We need that third piece. So believe me, I understand the love and the want for DeMarcus Cousins to come back and play. But like you said, you have to think about your longevity. You have to think about what you want in your career. And I think DeMarcus Cousins is getting to that point where we're asking, what's next? What else can he offer? And I think he's trying to prove that. Look, I think about somebody like a Dwight Howard when he was here in DC, and we were trying to say, are we waiting for Superman? Is he going to be back? I knew it wasn't going to be the same Superman, but people wanted that glimmer of hope, that something. And I think somebody like a DeMarcus Cousins, and like you said, J.R. Smith is just happy.
Listen, where we playing? Ball up.
Right. It couldn't be a better situation. Like literally, you sign me up. I'm not reading the fine print. Whatever I need to do, it's done, signed, sealed, delivered. I am yours. Ready. That's literally probably what he's thinking. So I think
like, are we doing shirts and skins? What are we doing? I'm in.
Right.
Skin.
So it depends on the play. Of course.
I didn't want no shirt.
He is. But that's what it comes down to, right? Like, you have to weigh what you want. But I think for those players, why not?
Yeah, I look at the way Cousins got hurt when he was with Golden State. Dude was hustling. He was running down a loose ball.
We were deprived.
Oh my gosh. And then the way he got hurt with the Lakers in a very intense workout, preseason workout.
I was there the day he had his first injury, the torn Achilles.
Right, that's right. I was gonna say you were there. You were there then.
I was in the building, So
David. So what do you think right now? Play or hang on? I got one last hurrah in me, and I can't do that down there in Disney. So I'm gonna hold on until we can do it, next year.
I think Kelsey's absolutely right. Boogie is in a position now where he's in danger of being in NBA exile because of the injuries, and at some point, people are going to look at his financial cost because of the number of years he's been in the league, and then look at his injuries and say, well, maybe he's no longer worth it. And like you said, there's always some young bodies coming along to take his place. So I understand his career is literally on the line in his view. So it's a much different decision for him in that regard. If he doesn't take this opportunity, if it's offered to him, he may not get offered another. And that's what he's worried, because his personal reputation, those types of things, some of them are warranted. I loved Boogie for the roughly a year that he was here. He was never a problem with me in the locker room. Me and dude got along. We disagreed on some producers about rap music, but he didn't want to kept trying to say Manny Fresh wasn't a great producer. But that's all right. But Boogie was a good dude. But at the same time, there was conflict while he was in New Orleans. And there was, recently they did a story about Drew Holiday and his free agency, and Boogie basically sent a note to the front office that was filled with expletives and a physical threat if they didn't sign Drew Holiday. And so, that he can be somewhat difficult to deal with. So, I think he's trying to make sure that if he gets one more shot at any time, that he comes in and can perform and does the right things. And if you come out of the bubble, I would guess he's thinking, if there's no problem for me in the bubble and I win and I play decently, because the next season is so close, they end in October, new season in December, then he's thinking, I do that, I'll be in shape for December, and I can go back and there'll be a team that offers me a job, because there will be a scramble for free agents. There's going to be a very short free agency period. And I think they're like 200 and something free agents on the market this year. So yeah, he's jockeying for his job.
Yeah. Somebody give me the breaking news sounder. One of, I got sources now. One of my sources just hit me up. I'm bad with sources, though. I call their name. Willie Gibson just hit me up from Columbus, Ohio, and said Cousins said he will not play and will continue to rehab. So, okay.
Book probably looked at his options. I would imagine the teams that called him, because the one that he wanted to go back to was the Lakers. So, I
was gonna say, if you get every call but LA, and I'm talking about the Lakers, not the Clippers, I still need to rehab a little bit. I appreciate you though. Okay, all right. I'm not mad about that. I think for me, I was thinking more about the long term. You go out and you play these 8 games, you jump right into the playoffs, and let's say your team goes on a little further. You get hurt again, that's it, bro. That's a wrap. I mean, seriously.
I think that's a big word for a lot of these players is that you're going to get the stress injuries of ankles, knees, hamstrings. You're going to get that because they have not been. And for people who don't understand, yeah, you can go to the gym and you can run a little bit. That is not NBA level exertion. When you see guys after a game, they play some guys 20 minutes of NBA action. And you go in those locker rooms and dudes are, they are exhausted. Their feet are in ice. They are iced up knees. This is for 20 minutes of action. You know what I'm saying? So people don't understand how intense it is to go from casually playing or casually practicing to full-on game speed.
Give me a name, Kelsey, who's going to be highly sought after now that Cousins is off the market. I got one here in Houston. We love Gerald Green. I wish that they would re-sign Gerald Green. They went out and got David Nwaba. Hey, David, how you doing? I'm still waiting on them to give you a number so I can go get your jersey. But, give me a name, not named David Nwaba. The Rockets are going to win the championship now. They got David Nwaba. So, Kelsey, give me a name, not Cousins.
This situation is fun for me because I think we're talking about it. You have to think what players are out there that want a chance. And I think, of course, this season will be different than any other season because we're playing under these circumstances. And it kind of levels the playing field more. David talked about the importance of keeping your body in shape. We'll really see who has been, with COVID, because it's different working out with your trainer virtually as compared to in person. You don't have those pressures that you had. And I think the DeMarcus situation is pretty interesting, but I can see, like David said, he weighed his options. I think with DeMarcus, he's 29. We're thinking about his long-term longevity. And even though 29 is not old to most people, but in the NBA, it is older because, you have these new people coming in. We think about injury-prone players. I think about someone like Derrick Rose, who, his career has just been, unfortunately, we know the trajectory, but those injuries here in DC, we're asking the same thing about John Wall. Will he be the same post these knee surgeries? Will he still have that same explosiveness? So it's different, but I don't know. You have me thinking. I'm trying to think who would I want to see, who wants to be there too. I think that's the other question that we need to ask because, again, you are having these players that think, hey, is this the year that I want to come back with all that's going on? I don't know.
Y'all will just be playing for second place because David Nwaba and the Rockets, they got this thing.
That's going to be your guy.
Malcolm Brogdon tested positive for COVID-19, and Trevor Ariza is saying that he is not going to play either. He is opting out.
Well, Trevor has that family situation because he's in a custody fight. And again, I wouldn't do, if you're fighting for your child to have the opportunity to visit and he's getting a month to be with his kid.
Right.
Again, you can't get that back. Trevor's had his career for the most part. He's got his championships. He's gotten plenty of money. There is nothing to gain for him in going back. He wasn't expecting to win a championship with the Kings this year. That wasn't going to happen. So what is the point for him? They're not even in the playoffs at this point. So yeah, I don't see that. But the player that I think that has a shot, Jay Crossover, Jamal Crawford. Somebody needs buckets. Jamal's out there. The last game he played in the NBA, he's dropped 50. So if you need buckets, Jay Crossover's a bucket.
I like that.
Why did I go old school when you said that? Why did I instantly think Vinnie Johnson? Why did I think instant offense, Mr. Microwave? Why did I think I'm just old, dude? When you said that, I was like, that's the modern Vinnie Johnson right there.
You get Jay Crossover. Like I said, Mike Beasley too. People gonna look, guys who want to get back
Beasley,
in and who can score. That's what people are going to be looking for. Can you get a bucket? Because a lot of guys shooting is going to be off, and they're looking for people who can get some buckets. Because I think it's going to be ragged play for a good bit of this.
All right, let me give y'all some names. And I got to give credit to my boy because he wrote this, Sam Quinn. And he went deep on this one. Who wants Joe Johnson? Who wants Joe Johnson? They say Joe Johnson is a professional scorer. Joe Johnson.
He just signed with the basketball tournament. He's playing in the TBT.
Yeah.
Joe getting paid for that. He ain't going from the league. He ain't
I
going
love
to that
AJ's face.
All right, you ready? I got more. Ryan Anderson. David?
Crickets.
David?
Can Ryan walk anymore?
I'm so happy with this live stream.
Can he run up and down the court? And Kelsey, I will say this too. Ryan Anderson is a jerk. At least to reporters, he's a jerk, man. He's a jerk. He was never nice to us in New Orleans.
Well, he was nice to us here in Houston, but nobody else was talking to him. So it's like, hey, you know I'm available, right? I'm dressed. It's like, Ryan.
Had to be nice.
like, look, I'm waiting on the ball boy to come out of the shower, Ryan. Back off me, dude. All right, so not Ryan Allen. What about Alan Crabb?
Continue. This is what we're saying. Continue.
Yeah, even more.
Ryan Brokoff. Anthony Tolliver.
No, I don't think he gets a job.
Gerald Green. We'll take him back in Houston. Y'all don't have to. Those are the shooters. Those are the shooters. All right. The point guards. Isaiah Thomas. Little Isaiah Thomas.
I've been rooting for his comeback. I've been rooting for his comeback again because I got to cover him when he was here in Washington. And I think, his career has been one that's just been crazy to watch. At one point, the highest of highs. And now, you have to really follow. He's been bouncing around. So he's actually somebody I would not be mad at. I would not be mad at.
David?
I mean, certainly there have already been, you've seen a lot of fans who have said they would like him back in Boston as a backup. I think certainly that teams you're going to need depth. You are going to need depth at this. And, they've already you can have 17 and then you have some backups too that you could possibly use. So teams are going to throw out some contracts to guys who they don't expect to play beyond this. But again, what's the risk for you? What's the downside for taking an Isaiah Thomas? If he doesn't pan out, he doesn't pan out. And if he does, then you got, again, a guy who can give you instant offense and you use him in a limited role. You're not going to put him out there to start. You're not going to he's not a defensive stopper. But again, if I say come in, give me 10, 15 good minutes, you'll be the first option on offense, make something happen. It might work. It just depends. It all depends with Isaiah. Again, is he healthy?
Yeah. In fact, I call him Quinny Piak, but Quinn said that Trey Burke is a less famous but healthier version of Isaiah Thomas. Agree, disagree? Trey Burke at point guard for somebody.
I like Trey Burke because I've got to cover Trey Burke here in Washington. And I think like you said, most people, you have to follow the NBA to know him. I don't know if I would say necessarily, but at this point in his career, I'm also happy with having a Trey Burke as a backup to give me just solid minutes because of what we're about to go through with the NBA. But I would pick Isaiah if I had to.
Isaiah first, Trey if you had to. I have to give somebody.
I love Trey.
Do you?
I think he's a very solid backup. Even in that mess that was the Knicks season the year before, not this one that got interrupted, but the year before, he was the standout. He played his behind off for them. He played very well for the Mavericks. Ever since he got out of Utah, he's had some very solid seasons. It's just hard. He's now in that place that a lot of guys end up in. He's viewed as a journeyman. Yeah. And so, but that doesn't mean he can't play.
Yep. All right, y'all ready? Which one are you going to take? You got to take one of these two. Pau Gasol or Nene? David?
Oh, I would take Pau. Because at the very least, I know this from Pau. Pau can still hit a jump shot. Pau is going to be a dude who's going to add to my team as a passer. He can still block some shots. His health has not been nearly as bad as what Nene's was over the last 4 or 5 years. Pau had that one injury that got him out of Portland, the one that kept him out of Portland this year. But if I had Pau, again, championship experience, he can give me points off the bench. He gives me length. He can give me passing. And he's as smart as any other player in the league. I would take him over Nene.
He's smart.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I'll agree with David.
Pau's going to end up in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
Yes, I agree.
You have to give him some respect. And that's why I think it's an easy choice, too. I think the man he's right now trying to, I think, prove himself more. We know what he can do, but I think he's trying to prove what he can do in this moment. And let me tell you, Nene has a soft spot with me because he's also a guy I've got to cover here in Washington, and he was a fan favorite here, but he's different than he was in Washington. Because let me tell you, we used to love him here in Washington, but now the love isn't always there. But
we know we've seen him here in Houston for the last couple of seasons. It's like,
I'm sorry, y'all didn't get the Washington version.
Is that Nene? Y'all stay right there. Let me get one more break in. We'll be right back with Kelsey and David right here on the lunch break.
It's inspiring. It's empowering.
It's life-changing.
It's called to inspire with best-selling author and motivational speaker, Dr. Sylvia Cole. Tune in every Tuesday morning at 11 o'clock here on the legendary KYOK, 1140 AM, 92.3 FM, and KYOK.org.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson representing a team of lawyers who help people that have been injured or wronged. If you've been involved in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or injured at work, you have rights, and you may be entitled to money for your suffering. Don't accept an offer you get from an insurance company until you talk to a lawyer. And we represent some of the best personal injury lawyers you can find. Tough lawyers that will fight to win your case. And they're so good they stake their reputation on it by only getting paid if you win. So if you've been in a serious car, truck, or motorcycle accident or hurt on the job, find out today for free what kind of compensation you may be entitled to. Call the legal helpline right now.
800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. 800-547-4170. That's 800-547-4170.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. 800-308-6729. That's 800-308-6729. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
Has someone in your family lost a job recently, and now you can't afford your mortgage payment? Or do you have a rental property and your tenants aren't paying you? Quick Cash Offer can come to the rescue and pay you cash for your home immediately. Yes, sell your home and get cash all over the phone without dealing with real estate agents and risking your safety by showing your home to lukewarm buyers. You don't need to lose your home to foreclosure. If you have any equity in your home, we will buy it and give you cash within days, all in a simple over-the-phone and virtual process. Call Quick Cash Offer now before the economy gets worse. Sell a home you can't afford or just don't want to get the cash you need today.
800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. 800-780-1431. That's 800-780-1431.
Hey, this is Tori and Terry, and we're with a new show on the legendary KYOK called Marriage Talks with Tori and Terry.
Yes, that's Saturdays at 1 p.m. Marriage Talk with us. You can call in and talk with us about your marriage questions, engagement, relationship questions. We're here to assist you. Saturdays at 1 p.m.
And that's on the legendary KYOK, 1140 AM and 92.3 FM.
Talk to you then.
Again I say unto you, if two of you shall agree on earth as touching anything, it shall be done for them by my Father who is in heaven. For where 2 or 3 are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Matthew 18, 19, and 20.
That's the gospel.
And we're KYOK, 1140 AM and 92.3 FM.
My name is Jamal McDonald from Jamaica. Live in Indianapolis, Gold, and listen to the lunch break.
All right, y'all, we're back here on the lunch break on the legendary KYOK and the all-new 92.3 FM. I'm AJ Jones, and oh boy, the things that make you go, I know what we were just talking about. I'm going to come back to that, but you know me. It's a little different show. Kelsey, you said you were a Christian, right? You said your mom and y'all sang in the choir.
I am a proud Christian. What we doing, AJ?
I'm getting ready to hit send on this post because somebody sent me some foolishness. And I just want to know, Christians using Bible verses to defend keeping statues of people who were for slavery? Where they do that at? What Bible they read? I mean, is it capital C-H? Which Christ they following? I'm just trying to figure it out. I don't know.
Oh man! So we're going to get in on the statues and how perfect this is because I'm in DC, where I don't know if everyone saw the national news, but we're facing off against police. Actually, not far from where I work, and so. All right, so Virginia yesterday, they just Robert E. Lee High School in Springfield, Virginia, they just approved the name change. They're going to have July 12th, they're going to do a hearing. One of the short names on the list is Barack Obama. There's other names being considered. It's crazy to me that we're just now having these conversations about statues of people who were treasonous against their own country that we live in today. And some of you guys say I'm proud to be an American. All right. That's not, again, I'm not talking rocket science. I'm talking the layman's language, right? This is layman's
like you fought against your whole own country. Like against your
yep.
That's like going to your mama and say, listen, mama, you cross this line right here in this house.
Right.
I'm gonna have to fight you. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna do what I want to do on this side, and you do what you want to do on that, and it's your mama's house. I'm sorry.
It's the point, and that's the thing I'm saying. I don't care what your religion is. What I'm saying is for any and everybody, and we're having these conversations, and we've been forced to have our kids go to these schools, have streets named after again these people, some of whom owned other people and fought to keep people that look like me and you in slavery. And had they won, we probably wouldn't be on this show here today. That's a problem. I don't care any country in the world that you go to. If you have people that fought against that country, are they celebrated? Are they celebrated? It's one thing to learn about your history in a history textbook, and that's a whole nother conversation because not enough of African-American history or Black history is incorporated into school textbooks, but we're having a conversation about fighting to keep statues, and a statue is make no mistake about it, a statue is meant to glorify something, all right? All right, it's meant to glorify something. Why are we doing that? That's again, I'm not talking rocket science. I'm not trying to.
I'm just asking. I'm just asking. There must be a different part of the Bible than what I use because
I missed that part too.
I don't see it. David.
I mean,
using Bible verses, and I said Bible verses to justify keeping statues of people that were fighting for slavery. Yeah.
Well, look, they used Christianity to justify slavery, that we are products of the curse of Ham, and that's why we were slaves. They use slavery to justify, just about anything. I mean, you can use whatever you want to justify things, and the reason people use religion, as we know, as a cover for those things, is because you can't impugn it. If it's your belief, then somebody's saying, well, you can't impugn my belief. This is my doctrine, and so it's something you can hide behind relatively easily. But like Kelsey said, the rest of the world has already figured this out. You go to Italy, there are no statues to Benito Mussolini. So you go to Russia, they took down the statues of Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin. There's still the tomb in Red Square, but that's a tomb. It's kind of hard to break that down. But countries, look, people talk about, well, they keep the concentration camps in Nazi Germany. They're still there. Yes, they're there as a reminder. When you go there, there are statues there of the victims, the Holocaust victims. They don't have any Nazi soldiers on statues.
They don't have a statue.
No, they replaced every one of those statues with a concentration camp prisoner. They want you to know how bad it is. That's why they banned. You cannot have a Nazi flag in public. You can own it, but you better keep it in your house. Can't have it in public. You can't name your child Hitler. You can't. There are things that they have just taken out of society because, again, you do not want to repeat those mistakes and glorify those people. History is where you learn about those things, not in the street. Statues glorify. When you put things in positions of honor, then people are going to expect them to be honored. And the problem with that is that over and over again, over time, this is why I have a real problem with people putting up statues in general for things, because over time, we find out we make decisions that we probably shouldn't have made in the moment. You know what I mean? Like, it's when people die, let's put up a statue for them right now. You gotta have perspective. And with perspective comes a change of idea. And as we've gotten this perspective from, yes, we do have to question the origins of the country. Yes, we do have to. When you talk about George Washington, you better start talking about the fact that his teeth were not wooden, they were slaves' teeth, that they were pulled out, that these people were not kindly slave masters. I had somebody on my own station try to make the distinction between slave owner and slave holder, because they were trying to say that, well, John McDonough, who you know the name from New Orleans, donated a bunch of money for schools, that he bought slaves, made them work the money off that he had paid to buy them, and then he set them free. So he had good intentions. I said, tell the slave that. Ask the slave if there was a difference. If somebody said, hey, this is a slave owner and this is a slave holder, ask them if they would prefer either. To them if it was nuanced. You owned people, And when you have the gradations of all this in this country is what's, trying to justify things simply because it's white folks. That's the only reason they're being justified. If black people or Asians or Hispanics had done any of those same things, would they be getting positions of honor in our cities?
I mean, it's real. What David is saying is real, because I'll say this, and this is going to be a pretty bold statement, but if there were people that wanted Nat Turner statues everywhere, just saying, there'd be some comments.
I'm looking for the Nat Turner High School. I want to play. I want to be the head coach of Nat Turner High School. I don't care what it is.
And it's just being historical, right? Then I gave that reference because I think I had to put it into context for people who might not understand
part of our history.
Saying. Yep.
It's part of our history. I want to meet at Nat Turner Square. Come on over.
And look, I'm happy to talk history with anybody all day. Look, I got my degree in journalism, but also African-American history. So I will talk it with you. We can go on about it, but it's a real issue. It's a real issue. And it's not just here in DC, it's where you are, because we've constantly been reminded of a painful history. And think about it, when you're a kid, what does that do to a child when they have to grow up with this? Like if I'm a black child going to Robert E. Lee High School, come on, what does that say?
Yep. Listen, we got to go. And Kelsey, I ain't going to put you on the spot again and invite you back for next week. I'm not going to do that. Tell everybody where they can find you and follow you, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
Yes, KelseyNicoleNelson.com. My website has everything. Twitter, Instagram, The Real K Nelson. Definitely check out the show. Listen in with K&N. It's every Thursday and Saturday, but sometimes like this week, we'll go for guests. So we're going on Friday and Saturday this week. It's on Fox Sports Radio based in DC. Check it out on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. The live stream shows on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So definitely check it out. I'm looking forward to connecting with everyone.
I'll be posting your webpage on the stream as soon as we're done. David Grubb, tell everybody where they can find you and follow you, sir.
On Twitter at DM Grubb and Instagram DM Grubb or HITP with DG. The iHeart Radio app, you can get me there. On Roku, or you can just have the app on your phone and you can listen live or subscribe to the podcast. We got some other stuff working. I actually sent something to a couple of people that I'm having them look at it. We're trying to do some things in the future. I really think there's going to be big things on the horizon for a lot of us. And, so follow me, sure, but make sure, support everybody and continue to support, because I think we're really going to need it. over this next
absolutely.
year. It's going to get real hard out here for us independent journalists and content creators. We're really going to need the support from all the listeners and viewers out there, and I appreciate it.
We've done it before, but let's do it again. Let's do a Twitter post of other Black journalists, broadcasters, and let's do it again. Let's do that today. All right.
I like that.
Whichever one y'all started, I'll throw a bunch of names on there. Y'all throw a bunch of names on there. Let's give some love to our loves. Okay. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate you very much, David Grubb and Kelsey Nicole Nelson. Thank y'all for being a part of the winning team. We'll talk to y'all again soon. Okay.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
All right, man. I tell you what, I hate to make this show go. I like to keep doing this, but hey, we got to get ready. Donnie McClurkin is up next with the Donnie McClurkin Show. He'll give you the best in gospel music, the latest in the gospel music industry. Donnie does his thing every Monday through Friday from 2 to 3. In the morning, you got Erica Campbell and Griff Get Up Mornings at 6 a.m. to 9. Then you got Linda J, who will be in, and Shiloh Radio tomorrow as well. And then, of course, it'll be the Sports Fellas, and we'll have one of our virtual co-hosts in to do his thing. So, again, y'all know the deal. As always, let's not be divided. Let's be united. I truly love you, and there's nothing you can do about it except wear your mask, and please wash your hands, and please sanitize everything around you and be sensitive to people around you. Give them at least 6 feet. And as far as this racism's going and this social injustice and police brutality against Black people, just stop, all right? And I'm serious when I say that. Just stop. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. See you then. All right, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. I mean, I think there's really nothing else to be said about some of the thinking that's out there, whether it be from Bubba Wallace, whether it be for how people handle COVID-19 and value the lives of those who entertain us, or how hard people are fighting and debating to hold on to a history that was not the kind of history that some of us want to remember. And again, it's interesting how it's selective, because there are no statues of Nat Turner. There are no statues of slave uprisings. You know, they're not even statues of Rosewood and the victims and survivors of Black Wall Street. But yet we're supposed to be gracious to statues of Robert E. Lee and to other folks who literally fought to keep people like me and some of you enslaved. I wish people would get out of their emotions and just stop and think about it. Like literally stop and think about it and see if that's exactly the hill you want to die on. As I always say, let's not do this. Let's do this. Okay. Y'all take care. See you tomorrow.